troubles down in your soul. I know a place where mercy flows. Take the stains, make you whiter than snow. Like a tide, it is rising up deep inside a current that moves and makes it come alive. Then hold it, that brings it dead to life.
Virginia, what's happening, y'all? Let's hear you sing, come on.
We're going down to the river, down to the river. in our chest, that's why we're singing it back to you. For every battle you won, everything that you done, and everything that you're gonna do. See you too much to ever doubt it. Feel so good, I wanna shout it. Yeah, when I really think about it, all we wanna do, say. It's why we can, to lift your name. Come on and sing, come on and sing. It's why we can, to lift your name on the chosen. So let your glory be heard until it comes. Don't wanna wait for the rocks to shout. We got a reason to praise. It's in the song you say. No, we ain't gonna turn it down. Every day we got a reason. It's Sunday only on the weekend. And then when I get the feeling, all I wanna do, say. It's why we can, to lift your name. Come on and sing. It's why we can, yeah, we were made to lift your name on the church. Every day we're gonna glorify Him in Virginia. Every day we're gonna glorify. Every day we're gonna glorify. Every day we got a reason. It's certain only on the weekend. Yeah, when I get the kind of feeling, I gotta sing. Say. It's why we can, to lift your name. Come on and sing, come on and sing. It's why we can, yeah, we were made to lift your name on the church. Trust your voices.
Glorify your name. We're gonna glorify your name.
Virginia, one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn in my life is how to really give things up to God and trust and know that He's gonna do so much more with what I have than I can do with on my own. And that's what this song is all about. It's called Faith. There is no ocean parted. There is no mountain that can't be moved. I know there's hope for the hearted. The weak will find a strength renewed. You just gotta have faith. You just gotta have faith. It's life for the shadows, for all your tomorrows. It's knowing He's there through the sun and the rain. It's when you believe it before you can see just want to say a massive thank you to our friends Awakening Events, to our friends Skillet, Colton Dixon. Live music is back, let's go! Hey, listen, so during COVID, I put out my third record, and I'm so excited about it. Y'all can be some of the first people to own a physical copy. It's right over there. We've got shirts, a bunch of cool stuff. But right now, we're gonna play you the first single off that record. It's called Next to Me. Y'all are showing it a bunch of love. Let's go! Come on! I've been empty. When I'm low, you fill the cup. But my ego fights back, telling me that I'm ready to grab the wheel and take control. But I'll crash if I don't let myself let go. You put the X on my faded map, drew me a line back to where I'm at. Patient when I try to move too fast. I get this feeling, I get this feeling, I get this feeling in my spirit when I'm low. This in my soul, saying, "Child, come on back now. You've been going too long. I don't need you back where you belong, right next to me, right next to me." By the plans I try to make, I've been selfish. 'Cause callous hearts, they die hard like cabbages. And I know I gotta break. But it's good to know that help is on the way. You put the X on my faded map, show me a line back to where I'm at. When I try to move too fast, I get this feeling, I get this feeling, I get this feeling in my spirit when I'm low. I hear it calling like a compass in my soul, saying, "Child, come on back now. You've been going too long. I don't need you back where you belong." Come on. You know I try to do it on my own. You say it's right next to me. Come on. I get this feeling in my spirit when I'm low. I hear it calling like a compass in my soul, saying, "Child, come on back now. You've been going too long. I don't need you back where you belong." I get this feeling in my spirit when I'm low. I hear it calling like a compass in my soul, saying, "Child, come on back now. You've been going too long. Hey, listen, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending your evening with us tonight. Listen, I don't know what y'all brought in here, but we're going to play you a brand new song that's all about a hope that we believe that Jesus is coming back and taking us home. Y'all believe that, Virginia in the back? Hey, I need everybody on your feet for the next 3 minutes and 40 seconds. This is the last one. Come on, just get up. Let's do this. This song is called Jesus is Coming Back. If you can catch on, sing it. Let's go. Have you ever thought that the world has kind of lost its way? Crazy as it seems, yeah, I know it's gonna be okay. Ooh, yeah, it doesn't scare me, it's temporary. There's something better, we got forever. And it won't be long, 'cause we know our hope is on the way. So keep your head up. Jesus is coming back, Jesus is coming back. No, don't you give up.
some noise for Jordan Felice tonight. Come on, make some noise for him. And how about that band, everybody? Come on now, make some noise for these boys. Come on. Yeah. Demon and Marcus up here, killing it tonight, man. Hey, it's awesome to be here. I know you're excited. Who's excited about Skillet? Anybody excited about Skillet? Man, we are so fired up to be here. One more time, just so you know, I'm the MC of the events. My name is Jason. I'm normally on the road with a band called Building 429, but tonight I get to hang out with you guys. For some of you guys, you're like, what's a building and a 429? Well, let me help you out. The song goes like this. All I know is I'm not home yet. This is not where. That's it. All right, there you got it. That's my band. That's who I play with. But I'm honored to be able to be here tonight. Obviously, I love Skillet. I've known these guys for many, many years. I just got to be honest. How about Jordan Felice tonight? I mean, seriously, come on now. That was ridiculous. And I've known Colton for many, many years. I followed him on TV and all that kind of good stuff, and then became a friend with him. Make some noise for Colton Dixon tonight as well. Oh, man. Well, hey, listen, being out here in this place tonight, actually, believe it or not, reminds me kind of a lot of my hometown. I'm from a small town in northeast Texas called Mount Pleasant, Texas. Tiny little place. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I literally grew up with 4, count them, 4 younger sisters, right? I'm the oldest. 4, I know, right? That's right. You better woo that. That was tough. I'm not gonna lie, right? That's why I can talk so fast, and that's also why I got ADD. Yeah, I earned it, all right? I wasn't born with it, I earned it. Also, just so you know a little bit about me, my dad was a military man. Are there any military out there tonight, guys, who served at all? If there are, go ahead and clap for all the guys. Hey, man, thank you. Like, honestly, thank you, man. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. We're so grateful for the freedoms that we have. My dad came home from being a Marine, and he decided that he wanted to lift weights an awful lot, and he lifted so much that by the time 1984 came around, he won 1984 Texas State Strongest Man. No lie, my dad was the strongest man in Texas. That's right. I know, you can clap for him. It's awesome. Big old strong guy and little old Jason. It was awesome, let me just tell you. No, people look at me when I walk up my dad and they say, what happened to you, Jason? I say, you just shut up. You want to fight about it? Hold up. Let me call my dad, right? I grew up with Arnold Schwarzenegger as my father. He's just this huge man. In fact, just so you know, my dad's still a big dude. He's 63 this year. Last year at 62, he decided he'd go back and he'd do another bench press meet. You know what? Guess what? How much he bench pressed at 62 years old? I'm not making this up. My dad bench pressed 450 pounds at 62 years. I can't deadlift that, y'all. It's a problem for me. All that to say, though, that growing up in Texas, that yeah, you have a little bit of backstory of who I am. Also, growing up in Texas, we didn't have a lot of money. We weren't a family that had a ton. Like, I knew that. In fact, the day that I remember it became very clear to me we didn't have a lot of money was I was 5 years old. My mom told my dad, Ray, my dad's name's Ray, get your son and go to the grocery store. So my dad packed me up, put me in the truck. We went to our local grocery store. You guys might have heard of this place. It's a place called the Piggly Wiggly. Anybody ever heard of Piggly Wiggly? All right. Hey, man, I'm right home. We got some rednecks tonight. Praise God. All right, I like it. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember we were at Piggly Wiggly. My dad got all the groceries. And he got to the counter, came time to check out, pulled out his checkbook, and he wrote a check. Then he took the check and handed it to the lady behind the cash register. The lady behind the cash register did what all ladies behind cash registers used to do. They would take that check and then looked at the list of names on the side of the cash register. Anybody remember this list of names? Yeah, that's the list of people who have bounced checks, or as my dad used to call it, hot checks, right? And I remember she found my dad's name there. I was 5 years old. And I remember that she said, I'm sorry, Mr. Roy, you can't take these groceries with you. My dad turns and looks at me. I'm 5 years old looking up here at him. And he says to me, he says, son, come on, we got to go. I was 5 and I knew that there was no food at home. So I started arguing with the strongest man in Texas. I was like, hey, Dad, Mom said we got to get groceries. We're not going to eat tonight. And at 5 years old, man, it felt really real to me. Like, it did. And so I did what every 5-year-old does when they don't get their way in a grocery store. I threw myself on the floor and started kicking and screaming, right? Because that's what 5-year-olds do. And my dad, strongest man in Texas, grabbed me and dragged me out of Piggly Wiggly, kicking and screaming all the way out. And what I remember the most about that day, though, was that was the day that it became clear to me that the strongest man in Texas couldn't afford to feed his own family. Now, I'd love to say that only happened once, but it didn't. It seemed like it was a way of life for us. Things would go well for a while, and then we'd show back up at the grocery store and it would happen again. It happened so much that by the time I was, I don't know, a little bit older, I started kind of walking through the grocery store with Dad and with Mom, and then when it came time to check out, I would walk around the cash registers and I'd walk outside and wait to see if Mom and Dad were going to come out with the groceries, because I didn't want to be standing there when they told my family we were poor again. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Now, it's not to say that my dad was a bad man. My dad was a good man, doing the best that he possibly could to provide for his family. In fact, I've got a 17-year-old son, got a 15-year-old daughter now, and I know something about all y'all kids out there that you don't know about yourself. Listen to what I know that I didn't know then. Y'all are expensive, all right? You cost a lot of money. In fact, all the parents, clap your hands if you know what I'm talking about. Say amen. You gotta have your iPhones and all this kind of ridiculous game stations and all that kind of stuff. Or how about just clothes? Clothes is enough, man. It's expensive, right? Now, growing up, though, honestly, for me, honestly, it's not like my life was hopeless. Hope looked actually quite a lot like this field. I look around and see a whole body of believers out there, and I had a local church. Anybody out there got a local church that takes good care of you? Anybody can clap for your local church tonight? Yeah, man. I had a local church that took good care of us, and I had a youth pastor who was my hero. His name was Paul Collier, and Paul Collier knew something about me that I didn't let anybody know. You see, growing up being the son of the strongest man in Texas, and obviously in our hometown, right? The only way you're ever going to amount to anything is if you're big and strong and bad to the bone, right? So all I try to do is play baseball, football, and basketball, be the toughest dude that anybody had ever seen. Obviously, that wasn't working. Look at these arms. But here's the thing. Paul knew that my grandpa had taught me to play the piano. And Paul also knew that I had to drive by the church every single night after I got done with basketball, football, and baseball practice. And he knew how much music meant to me. He knew that I would stop at that church, that little old church, and I'd grab the doors to wait to see if they were open. If anybody was there, I would walk in and I'd play the piano for hours, just sitting there playing. And Paul started realizing too that I loved the guitar. So there was one guitar in our church, and he left it out for me. And I remember that Paul, actually I didn't know this at the time, but Paul started leaving work and going to the church and unlocking the door just so Jason could come by and play music. Now one day Paul came to me and said, "Hey Jason, there's a new music store just opened in Sulphur Springs, right down the road. I want to take you to it. They got all kinds of guitars." I'm like, "Sweet, that'd be awesome. Let's go do it." So I jumped in his truck, we drove 30 miles down the road, and then we got out and we walked into this place. And when I walked in, I promise you it was like the angels from heaven started singing. There were guitars all the way around this place. I mean, guitars are everywhere. I was in heaven. And back in those days, if you were a guitar fan, you were a fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan. You were a fan of Jimi Hendrix. And both these guys, just in terms of education, let me educate you, they played Fender Stratocasters. That's what their guitar was. So I walked in the front door, and they're sitting right in front of me, white Fender Stratocaster with a beam of light from heaven right there on it. And I remember like, oh my gosh, I've never seen one of these things in person. So I walked in, and I grabbed this guitar, and I sat down and started playing, right? I wasn't playing good, but I was playing. And I promise y'all, 45 minutes, just like that, gone. Paul walks up to me and says, "Hey Jason, it's time for us to go. Let's get out of here." I'm like, "Oh Paul, thank you so much for letting me, man, this is awesome." Took the guitar off, put it on the stand, and got up to walk away. And Paul said, "Hang on, bring the guitar with you." I said, "Paul, man, I can't afford this guitar. Come on, man, you know my family. I don't have the money. My mom and dad don't have the money. They wouldn't spend the money on the guitar if they could spend the money on the guitar. Let's just get on out of here, okay?" And Paul said, "No, let's take it to the counter, find out how much it costs, just so we know how much it costs." So, all right, sounds good. So I grabbed this guitar and I walked up to the counter and I sat it on the counter. Paul looked across the counter to this old lady that's working behind the counter. He said, "Ma'am, how much would you take for this guitar?" And that old lady looked at him with a big old deep southern accent. "Well, I think I'd take about $350. And I remember my eyes almost rolled back in my head. I was like, what? I'll never have that kind of money. And I was frustrated with it even standing there, because once again, it reminded me of being at the cash register and not having enough money. So I turned to walk out. Paul grabbed me by the arm and said, "Jason, come back to the counter." "What, man?" He said, "Just hang on a second. Man, $350? She said, "Yes, $350. And Paul pulled out his wallet. He started putting 20s on the counter, just slapping them down one after another. And a little guy who never had anything bought for him, much less an electric guitar, was just moved as his youth pastor put $350 on the counter for him. Slid the money across the counter, and then he grabbed the guitar, turned back around to me. He said, "Son, you have a gift. The Lord has blessed you with it. I want you to take this guitar and I want you to go share the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ with the world." And that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years, 150 shows a year all the way around the world, and right here in Virginia tonight. Why? Because hope changes everything. Somebody say it. Hope changes everything. Let me hear you say it. Hope changes everything. You know how I know that you know that hope changes everything? Because you're at a skillet show. Yes, you like rock and roll, and yes, you like to headbang. But brothers and sisters, you're not just at a headbanging show. You're at a show with a band who writes songs about hope. You love these songs because they mean something to you. Let me tell you something. When John stands up here in a little bit and starts singing about a hero, I want to rise up and be a hero, man. When he starts talking about invincible, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, bro, let's go. I'm invincible. I want to do this. You know, like, ladies and gentlemen, we have all been touched by hope in some regard. For you to be sitting in that seat right now, God has moved in your life at some point. And maybe it's just the rock and roll music that you hear tonight, but maybe, just like me, somebody looked at you and said, you matter. God sees you. He has plans for your life. They are for good. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. And brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. All the shows that I played all the way around the world and standing on this stage tonight, it's all because of one man. If you like my music, you like my songs, you can thank Paul Collier, a hero from Mount Pleasant, Texas, that nobody knows. Now, growing up in Mount Pleasant and leaving Mount Pleasant, starting touring the world, the one thing